Welcome. Sorry, my phone just turned itself on and I never asked it to, but it did it anyway. Okay, so this week's Patreon video, hello everybody, is another spin prep video. We'll get onto the bats eventually, but I just want to do the rovings and get them out the way. So over the weekend there, I dyed up some really it's not a full breed study, but it's a bit of a one. And for you guys that have never tried this, I advise you to go and grab some. Go get your hands on it. I think I might actually have some on the website, some Punyo Arenas wool. I've spoken about this and bigged this wool up before. It's gorgeous. It really, really is. Okay, there's a bit of history behind it. You can't really find out much information about the actual breed itself, where it came from, originated and everything else. There's no mention of whether it's been bred with anything from a different part of the country or if it's been brought in from overseas, i.e. Europe or Britain, and then blended, bred with the local sheep there. But yeah, so I have found out a little bit about it. It says that in the late 19th and 20th century, sheep farming expanded across the Patagonian grasslands, making the southern regions of Argentina and Chile one of the world's foremost farming areas, attracting a boom of migrants from Europe and Chile. Early sheep farming in Patagonia was specifically wool production. Later, with the development and industrialization of refrigerations, so something that was very new to us. It's not something we've always had. We used to have big ice boxes and stuff like that, and we'd import that from Alaska and the Antarctic and wherever. There was big icebergs practically chipped up and put in big ships and containers, and then we'd put them in a big deep hole, and that would be our freezer boxes. But yeah, so the industrialization, refrigeration helped them transform that wool production from the sheep into meat production. Okay, so in 1843, Chile established a colony in Brunswick Peninsula to assert sovereignty over the Strait of Magellan. Sheep herding in that period was very modest until a group of British immigrants realised the potential for large-scale sheep herding. They settled in Punyo Arenas in 1870, following the development of the Falkland Islands and the trading and breeding. So there's a lot more political stuff that goes with that, but I don't think you'd be really that interested. But you can go and find out about how that evolved. And obviously in the 1970s, 80s, and the Falklands War, and then they exported the trading, and they got bigger and everything else, and they could export to Chile, and then vice versa with the sheep breeding and stuff like that. The characterization of the Punyo Arenas is its medium fine texture. It's comfortable enough to wear against the skin. The fibre averages 24 to 26 micron counts, with a length average staple of 3.5 to 4 inches. It's a nice lofty wool, and honestly it is. It's really, really lovely, and it behaves very similarly to a merino and a corridel. It's a brilliant alternative. Honestly, it is so soft. It's lovely to dye with. It will take dye either strikingly very, very strong, but remember, when you're dyeing your wool, you can soak it for half an hour, and what you'll find is it'll end up not soaking and penetrating the dye all the way through, and you'll end up with blotchiness. But sometimes that's the effect that I like. But your best bet is to leave your wool to soak in. I always go for a lukewarm water. If I put the wool into a cold bath, it doesn't do anything. You have to force it down, and the water just won't penetrate into the wool. Because remember, wool is waterproof. So if you use warm water, I was at least hand hot, put my wools in and leave it to soak for a good few hours. I'll put it in about 8 o'clock in the morning into my sink, and then I'll start dyeing about 12 o'clock. But sometimes just having that little bit of soak away gives you a bit more clarity when it comes to dyeing. So I have dyed up these. Now I've gone for, remember the other week when we were talking about colour theory, I did the ones with the rovings and stuff like that. So what I've done is I've gone for one of the colour theories. I'll pop the picture up here, which was the blue tones with the peachy orangey tones. So I dyed that one in long colour section, so widthways down the dye tray, and I did the exact same colours using this one for this one with the short colourway sections. So we've got the pops of colours. Now the thing about that, and remember I did mention when I was talking about colour theory, is that you can't mix certain colours together because they will get muddy, which is the blues or good browny muddy colours. The blues and oranges will do that. You will end up with different colours and different patches of different hues in there, either from the dye splitting themselves or from them being contaminated from the blue. So that's what happens. You get these grey tones in there, you get these fawny tones, hints of yellow in there where the dye's broken. But it makes a really unique looking yarn. It doesn't really matter. We are not mills. Our wools come out the way they want to, and we just have to live with it and experiment until we've found the style that we like. Sometimes you could do something 10, 20 times the exact same way and it'll be perfect every way, and then all of a sudden it'll just change. Either it's down to the chemical balance in your water, it could be down to the manufacturer changing the makeup recipe of their dye pigments. So there's a lot of factors in there, so don't ever be disappointed with your results from your dye tray. So this is the one we're going to use today, and we're doing a two-way fractal. Okay, a two-way fractal. So what I'm going to do, what I want to do first is, I'm not going to use all this because it's 100 grams. I'm going to save this other piece for the next, maybe for the next one. I might use that blue and orange one for the next one. We'll see how I feel. We'll see how I feel. We'll see what happens. But I'm just gonna split this so I end up with a 50 gram roving, and I'll just braid this up, and then we're gonna split it, and then I'm gonna pop off and spin it up and knit it. I will spin off the first half of the roving off on my own because it will be there forever, but I will give you a hand in reminding you where to start on your sections of roving when you go to do the second part on your second bobbin. Okay, so again, like last week, you quite literally want to split it down, right down in half, all the way down to the bottom. So top to tail, in the middle, roughly find out where your center is, and then just gently tease it apart. That's it. We're going to leave that to one side. Now you can see that there's different, you've got peachy there, and then you've got this brighter orange, and then we've got this sapphire blue going to a mid-tone blue, and then it goes into this midnighty purpley blue. So those are the colours we've got to work with. They're very, very similar, but we should see some decent results. Okay, so just, which one am I keeping? This one's going in a braid. So I'm going to put this to one side, and we will spin this one off, top to tail, starting from the blue end down to my orange end. So that's, I've said it now, that's the way I've got to go. Right, so the next bit, and I'm going to turn you down for this. I'm going to try and, so you can see what I'm up to. Okay, I'll move my notebook out the way. So I'm going to, now this piece here, the other half of this one, okay, I'm just going to, again, split this all the way down the middle. And with a fractal spin, you're wanting it in different sections. And I'll read you off some notes that I've got here. It's in pencil, so God help me when I'm trying to relay it to you. Right, so there's one written off. So I'm going to just turn that around my hand. So that's half of my half, so it's a quarter. Okay, then I'm going to, got my other piece now, my other half. So I'm going to, again, split that all the way down, top to tail of that section, and again in a little nest. We'll bring you forward so you can see how my nests are going. So that was, there is my, so it's half of 25 grams. So there is my 25 grams, half of 50 grams, Joe, 25 gram half that we've got to one side. There is half of the other 25 grams. There is half of that 25 grams. And now we're going to do this again. So we're going to split that very, very carefully because we're getting very thin now. I'm going to split that all the way down the middle, like so, like that. And put that one to one side. Now we could go for broke and split this last piece. These bits, the thinner the pieces are, the quicker you will spin them up. Okay. So I'm going to very carefully split it down the middle. There we go. Ooh, look how wispy that is. So that are my last two sections. Now you can, and it's up to you, it doesn't really matter either way. Well, I suppose it does to a point. If I'm starting off with this, say the orange end, okay, actually I will do it with these. See how they've all ended off in the blue? So if I rewrap these around my hand like that, so there's the orange star, and I'll do that one again. And wrap that one around again. That's already ends on an orange, and this one needs to be re-wrapped around. Now you can play around with it. It's not, it doesn't, it's all down to personal taste. I'm just doing it this way. I say personal taste. Just the way you've got it laid out, okay? You can start with the blue and spin that off and end up with your orange on the very end. And then when it comes to spinning these sections off, okay, you can start with the smallest bit first or the biggest bit first. That's completely and utterly up to you. If you want to start playing, so you start with blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, not blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange. So whenever you're spinning through, when you start on your second bobbin, you spun all this off. On your second bobbin, you're going to take this one and you're going to start with the peach end. And what you'll end up doing is finishing off with your blue. Okay, so you spun all that off on your bobbin, on your second bobbin. Then you get your next piece, which is your next weight down, second heaviest. And again, you're going to spin this orange onto that blue on your bobbin. And you're going to keep on spinning it until you get to the blue at the end. And then you're going to get your third weight down. And again, you're going to spin that by joining that onto that blue, and then spin that all the way down until you get to the blue. And you're just going to keep repeating that till you have none left. Now you could start with the lightest ones first and work your way up. You could start with your heaviest and work your way down. If you want to start with the blue to orange, 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 and then maybe your other bobbin has got orange to blue on there, it doesn't really matter. It's all about having a play, experimenting. The effects will look slightly different if you do them differently. You could do it that way with that one, and then decide with your other half that you want to see what it would look like if you'd have started off with it, spinning it with the blue on your bobbin first to fill half, and then going blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, all the way down. Okay, and then this one you're doing orange, blue, orange, blue, orange, blue, but instead of doing the blue, orange, front, starting with this end, go orange, blue. I don't know, have a little play around with it. It's up to you how you want to do it, but this is just literally the basic rudimentaries of what you want to do. So you're spinning off this one piece onto a bobbin on its own, and then you're going to put that to one side. Then you're going to methodically go through each one of these, making sure that you always start with the same colour as you're joining on to your bobbin. Then you're going to ply it all off together, on together, and then that's it. And then I'll come back to you once I've done mine. I will get you when I'm down to my last lot, and I will talk to you about why do you really want to do any fractal spinning, because there's a bit of thinking into it and why you'd want to. So I'll get back to that with you when I get down to these last three spinning on my bobbin, and just get you reminding. And then obviously I've got a knitted swatch to do. So from that there, I shall catch you in a sec. So we did the prep and everything the other day, didn't we? I say the other day because it is the next day. So this is my 25 grams of that 50 gram roving that I split. So that one has been spun off on this bobbin here. So you can see the blue colours from that roving all the way up into this peachy oranges and peaches, two-toned. So we did that one. Now I'm on the next bobbin, which is my other half of that 50 grams, and split that up into 5 sections. So we started off with this one here, which was half of that half. Okay, so that one's there. Then I had a section, so I put that one to one side, the half of the half, and then I was left on those sections, so I split that down the middle, and that's the next piece. And then I split what was left over into this piece, and then end up with a really thin strand like I showed you, and that's been split into these 2 pieces. So I've got 5 altogether. So I've started spinning it off. I've got my 2 small bits left, which I'm going to spin now, and then we'll ply them off and we'll see what the results are. Then I'll go and pop off and knit the swatch, and then I'll be back with you to finish it off so you can see what the results are. So I'll just pop you down so you can see. Right, where are they? Put them down now. With all these wheels all over my desk, I totally forgot which ones I was working with. Right, so I've got these ones. So I'm doing it peach to blue when I'm spinning it. So every time I put a new section on, I'm making sure I stay with the same colour each time, or start with the same colour each time. So I've ended on the blue, and I'm now going to add on my next section, and I'm going with the peach. So I'll just get my wheel going. Now you find the smaller your section, your splits are, your half splits you'll go with, the smaller your splits are each time you divide it up. It doesn't want to. Why is it going? Oh, that'll be why. It snapped off. Well, I wasn't expecting that. Now I've got to hunt for my blue bit. There it is. It twisted off. Let's start this again. So when you spin your first half, which is your half of your 50 grams or your 25 grams if you're like me and you're working with smaller pieces, especially if you've got an old spinning wheel and it's got a small bobbin, you'll find that that spins off as you would expect it. Second, i.e. in long sections of colour blocking. But when you start working with the smaller ones that you've split with, so like this one, you'll find that you spin up a lot quicker. Let me just see if I can get this to behave a little. Let's pull that down a bit. It not only spins up quickly. All right, that's still 2. Second. Sometimes I've just got to tweak with it. I've got to snap that off, and I'm going to start again with there. Right, put that on the floor. Try and undo a little bit more roving yarn. See, it's not just you. You're just going to think, not panic, and carry on. So again, start this. Oh, I've lost it again. Oh my lord, hold on a minute. Okay, back. Honestly, you'll have to excuse my treadle. It's been really squeaky. I need to have a word with it later on. So you will find the thinner the sections that you split up when you're doing your preparation or your roving for doing a fractal spin, you'll get the thicker the fibre section is, the longer your colour sections will be as you spin them. Okay, the thinner the sections are, so from that you'll find really long colour sections that you're working with before it starts to transition. When you get to this section, you'll find that not only do the colours slightly become a bit more subtle because the fibre has been thinned down, but also the colour transitions from one to the other become shorter. I'm just going to move that over. Becomes shorter sections of colour transitions in comparison to having working with a thicker section of your fractal prep. So that's me on the blue already. So I'm just going to work my way down this. So I'm on a sapphire blue, and then it changes into a midnight blue, or steel blue, then midnight blue. So I can just take that off there. I've got a bit of floof there. And not just that, if you're doing, is the top tip, because we will do barber pole at some point, as we go along. But you want to try and spin as finely as you possibly can. My usual is I can spin really thin and consistent on my wheel like this, but I always find that when I go to ply it up later on, it's between a sports or a 4-ply to a DK, so it sort of sits around in between. Honestly, I'm just trying to get a piece of fluff out of that then. But when you're doing barber pole, when you're working with 2 colours, especially if you want to 3-ply it, you really want to get your yarn lovely and thin, because it helps show the colour definitions between the 2 plies. So again, I'm on my next bit, so I'm going to join on my peachy colour, add that in now. Hopefully they'll grip in properly and not split off this time. Give it a really good twist. There we go. And go on there. Yeah, the finer your yarn is for when you spin with it, the better colour definition and change you'll notice. It just looks better. It looks like a lot of nicer yarn as well, and the quality of it is brilliant for working with. You'll see more definition when you've got a really consistent fine yarn, then you ply it, and it really works well together. There we go. So there's, I'm nearly out that orange section already. Onto the sapphire blue. I'm just about to transition into the blue steel, which is more like a denim blue really than anything, which is quite nice. I will do this fractal spin again on a different roving with shorter colour blocks, just so we can see what it looks like. I will do that for you on the next video. Probably it'll be the same colours, because I do have this peachy blue colour mix in shorter colour blocks, and what I might do with that one is I'll spin it as a 2-ply, but I'll also do it as a 3-ply, and then you can see what that looks like. There we go. Nearly finished that one, and it won't take long to get these plied off together. There we go. Just take that bit of frizz off the end there, let that go through. I'm going to take this off now, so undo my tension on my scotch. See how we've got the colour transitions of those the thinner colour splits from that other half of my 50 grams of roving. So I just need to take this wool off from the other week that we did the spin, because I only seem to spin when I'm doing videos for you lot. I don't get a chance really to do it any other time. Let me see. Sometimes, come on. And what I'll do is I'll snag that off and use this as my leader yarn since it's already on there. Put this back on my flyer. There we go. Put my scotch tension on the back. Put that on the first hook. There we go. Ooh, pull that through. I like to do a little knot in the end when I'm doing the leader yarn, so I literally just do a loop through. Some people like to spin directly onto the yarn itself. I don't. I'm quite happy doing it. So I've got a nice little loop there, and then I'll get my two yarn ends off my bobbins. There we go. Loop those through. Tighten up my tension on my flyer again, and this time I'll go in the opposite direction. There we go. and we're off. So I just want to make sure it's got nice twist in there, and we'll start to see these colour transitions really quite quickly because we've ended with the small thin sections. Oh, the dreidel's behaving itself. It's not sounding like a dodgy hip. There we go. So we just keep doing that, and it just becomes rhythmic. Here's the colour change coming in now. See the orange with the blue. I think they're just lovely colours that work together. It also makes me think of the stitch on your jeans. It's usually a yellow stitching that they use specifically for denim. And that's what it always makes me think of. Right, so I'm just going to keep on doing this. Just hold the yarns in between my fingers on my other hand. There's not much else to do, and just watch these colour transitions work their magic, and I will get to you when I'm at that moment when I need to wind it up onto a bobbin. So, have you ever come across those times when you're left with a bobbin that has wool left over and the other one's gone, but you really want to carry on the sequence? Well, this is something that I've been doing for years, and I don't know if it's right, so don't be telling me off with the yarn police or not. But what I do is I wind off the bobbin that's got left over. Okay, so this blue bit is the blue that I'm spinning off, and that's the bobbin that I had loads of left on, right? This one here is the orange that I've just about run out. You can see here the knot from the bobbin. The bobbin is genuinely empty. So what I have been doing for years, because at the end of the day, I'm not selling my hand spun wool. I'm using it for myself, and I use it in weaving. So you don't even notice. You don't notice, promise. So what I always do is, there's the two bits there. There's the orange, especially when I'm working with fractal yarn. And here, I'll get it around the other side of there or we'll get all tangled up. Here is the rest of the orange off my bobbin that was still full. And what I do is I lay it up against that, say that blue there. I lay it there, and here's my orange that's exact same colour, and then I'll go across, and I've wound it up into my hand. So inside there is the blue, which is my first yarn, and the orange of that bobbin is the colour that I need to add in to extend my yarn. Do you know what I mean? So I've actually in essence got 3 yarns attached, but the peach one for this end, like the mini centre pull ball, is now going to sit in between these two. I'm going to untie this one from my bobbin, and I am going to now make sure that they sit aligned with each other. So I'll end up with a really thick section, but I don't mind, because what I want to do is trap in the new yarn with the other yarn, and there you just, apart from that thicker section, there's no transition. You can't really tell. So I can carry on with this blue part of my fractal, and I can carry on with my peachy part of my fractal from the larger half without losing my colour change. It's a little bit of fiddling, but There, see, I've got my centre pull ball in my hand. Now, to be fair, I do cheat, especially if I'm using, if I get my big art flyer from downstairs or from my Kromsky Prelude, no, my Fantasia, and I've got 100 grams and I've split them so I can do the fractal spin. I will actually just spin one half of the bobbin, the roving onto the bobbin, and then from there spin on the fractal splits onto the same bobbin, then wind into a centre pull ball, then ply it off, so that I never end up with one bobbin with too much on. But because I'm doing this for demonstration purposes, I have to be genuine. So I've ended up with this little centre pull ball of bobbin waste, shall we go, and I'm now plying it all together, still getting the exact same fractal effect that I was trying to get, but I'm not wasting anything on a bobbin. All I've done is joined the first yarn and the second yarn to the end of this centre pull ball by sandwiching them together and then carrying on. And I'll show you when I put it into a skein in a minute on the niddy noddy. Just bear with me a second. We've got a little bit of yarn here that wants to keep on twisting. It's just 'cause it's got lots of energy in it. There we go. No waste. Quite literally. One yarn here, one here. Okay, this one's going to break off. There's nothing left of it on the bobbin whatsoever. Okay, so there's the bobbin that I've just took it off. This was the bobbin that was still full. So what I've ended up doing is this one, both of them were still going in onto the bobbin that I'm plying. Then I've come across with, I wound what was left on here into a centre pull ball on my hand, just really loosely. Don't want to do it tight, just wrap it around your fingers until there's none left. Unloosen it and then sandwich it between the two. So I literally sandwiched the end of my centre pull ball, the bit that's hanging out, sandwiched it between those two, the one that's about to run out and the one that it's attached to the centre pull ball, and end up with subjectively 3 yarns. Apply them all together until there's nothing all of this one left. It's all been plied up in these, and then you end up with 2 yarns again. Simple enough. It's something I've been doing for years. There's probably people out there that do it as well. I don't know. I've never seen anyone do it before. It's just something I was like, one day I was like, I'm sick and tired of having bobbins wasted with wasted yarn on that I can't use. So that's what I do. And I will show you once I get my bobbin. Let me just look for a niddy noddy around here and we'll get that sorted. So I'm just going to get this skeined up so you can see the results. And I will relocate that section that I've just joined in via centre pull ball so that I didn't end up with any waste. Trying to see if I come across. There it is. There it is. So see here, I could have probably done with putting a bit more twists in this section here, but that's the bit that I've just ended up with 3 strands of wool in one go on one section and rejoined that centre pull ball from my bobbin that still had wool on it. To be fair, if it was only a little bit, then that'd be all right. But if I count here now, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 12 yards. 12 yards of yarn that I didn't want to waste. And that's exactly what would have happened. I'd have ended up with 12 yards of wastage on one bobbin when I may have needed it. I may need that 12 yards. I'll just try and find my rhythm again because I've been talking. So there we go. So yeah, it's something that I've been doing for years. It might be something you've never even thought of doing before. It's really quite simple. It just takes a little bit of just mudfudgery with your hands and your bobbins, and just use your tension to hold onto the yarn that you've already spun before it goes in the orifice, and then join that end of the centre pull ball that you've just taken off the fullish bobbin, and then join that between the end of the empty bobbin yarn section and sandwich them together and spin. Add a little bit more twist in there, just to make sure it doesn't fall apart. There we go. Oh, where's that gone? That's there. There we go. Nearly done. Onto the last of the blues now, and there we go. Oh. Okay, so that is my leader, and then I just want to loosely tie that up together, because I'm literally going to take this off in a second and start to work with it. I've got to go downstairs, knit up a swatch, but there we have the fractals. So you can see where you've got orange and orange in different shades going through to blues and blues, oranges and blues, and then onto the blue colours. So I'm going to work with this. I'm going to take it downstairs. I'm going to go knit up a swatch. There we go. And then you'll be able to see where the colour changes happen. It's a really, really pretty yarn. I do really like those colours. But that's what I'm going to go off and do now. So I'll be back with the result in a sec for you. Probably an hour for me. See you in a second. Be a bit more organised, Jo. So as this is spun on 2 bobbins, you have got the blue going into the, it's midnight blue, going into blue steel, and then going into the sapphire, and then it went into that orange, peach, all the way down to the bottom. So that's what was spun off on one, and then we spun off the fractal parts, the split sections. So that's these transitions here. So you can see the longer lengths as they go all the way down into these lovely, you can see here the colour transitions with the blues, because these are longer transitions than here. But as we go down, there's where the oranges start to meet each other, and then we've got the more muted tones. It looks like it's one solid block, but it's not. You've got the peach and the orange there joined together in the smaller sections, but then you've got the blues and the more blues, and then it seems to go on forever. Don't know why. I've got a funny feeling I picked up one end and started it as a blue instead of a peach like I would have done. So I think that's what's happened here, but then it evens itself back out again. So we go from the dark blue into the midnight blue in sections, and then we've got the peachy coloured here on the peach. So I think that's what it is. I think I've definitely done a mistake when I have grabbed the fractals, the fractal splits. I think that's where I've gone wrong on that, because it shouldn't really look like that. It should be more like this, but on a peach version. So yeah, that's how it's come out. I'm quite pleased with it. It's kind of a decent swatch, roughly a 4-ply to a double knit. Doesn't really matter, but you can see where the transition of colours are, and as you go along, I quite like it how that's come out. So these were the longer colour changes on these ones, and then it goes into the shorter colour changes as we go here. So you can see the difference with the different blues. So there's a sapphire blue in there, and then it changes into a slightly darker shade of a steel blue, and then it goes into this midnight blue. And then you've got the peach into the shorter sections, and then the more orangey peach, and then it repeats again all the way along. So there we go, it's done. So that took longer than it was supposed to. It took so much longer than it's supposed to. So what I will do next week, I was thinking of doing the same colourway as shorter colour changes. This one here, I was thinking of doing this, the shorter colour changes, and then doing one half of this as a 2-ply, and then doing another half as a 3-ply. If you want me to do that, let me know in the comments below, and then we can see them side by side of what they look like. Otherwise, if you don't want me to use this, then I will have a rummage around what I've got and see if I can find any other rovings that I've got short colour transitions, so we can see the effects of them. But if you think it makes more sense to do it in the same colours, then you can actually see how it goes on. Please do let me know in the comments below, and I will sort that out. So next video coming up is Q&A, so that'll be ready for you over the weekend. Sorry this video's taken a little bit longer than it should have done. It's just everything seems to just popped up this week, and this video I've been trying to get filmed and finished off and edited since this morning, but every man and their beast have been phoning and messaging me all day long. So yeah, that's me just getting around to getting it sorted out. Oh dear, honestly. So thank you very much for your support. Please do watch the Q&A, because there's some exciting news on there, and I'll be explaining my top secret that I've been getting up to in the background, and it will benefit you a lot, and I'd love your comments and your feedback on what I am doing. So watch out this weekend for the Q&A. Hope you really enjoyed this video, and I will catch you again another week's time with a different type of yarn, maybe, or this same one in a fractal on a short colour change and a 3-ply on a short colour change. Put your comments below, let me know what you'd rather me do colour wise. Take care for now, and I will catch up with you in a week.